this video, we talk about streaming music on the blockchain with the guys from ROCKI. Let's jump in. Hey, it's Grahame from Data Transmission, and today I've got a big interview with Bjorn Niclas from ROCKI. ROCKI is a blockchain streaming service where you upload your music, all of the transactions and all of the streaming is done on the blockchain, and they have their own cryptocurrency. Super interesting for me. I had this chat as part of my podcast. There's a link below to listen to the full podcast. And on the other podcasts, got some great ones at the moment. This week's was Barry Ashworth from Dub Pistols as well. Next week's is Mixcloud. Yeah, so go and check out the podcast in the link below. So go and check it out. Go and enjoy the conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Let's dive in. Hey Bjorn, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks
Great
for
to
joining.
talk to you.
Thanks for coming on the podcast. I'm really excited for this chat. I'm really excited to. Such an interesting topic we're going to talk about. It's intrigued me for a long time. The technology intrigues me. And everything you do around the technology intrigues me, and also kind of the wider music sphere is interesting as well. So I'm excited by this. It's gonna be fun.
Absolutely.
So let's just start by, if you can tell the audience of the podcast who you are, your kind of comic book number one origin story, where you came from, and how we got to this point.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Bjorn Niclas. I am a co-founder and CEO of a new online music streaming service called ROCKI, which we can go into in more detail. But I come from a pretty long background in the music industry, spanning back around 15, almost 20 years. I started as a DJ, worked my way up as a support DJ, opening for bigger DJs. Got recruited to be a tour manager for some guys, and then eventually ended up having my own tour managing company. Started a record label, Spun Day Records, back in the day. Got exposed to the publishing side, the record label side. I ran club nights at the biggest club in San Francisco called Ruby Sky.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. And I did the talent buying for quite some time while I was running my tour management company as well. And later on, I ended up I was living in San Francisco at the time, and ended up in Los Angeles, where I worked with a super great club called Exchange, the biggest club in Los Angeles. And I helped them launch a Thursday night, which was pretty exciting, together with Insomniac. So I come from a pretty wide background, from kind of all sides of the spectrum. So
and then I obviously first met you when you worked with on your own Tune, the blockchain based music streaming platform. Let's talk about Tune a little bit.
Sure. I think I even hit you up during my startup before that called Groovio, which was it was the first live streaming platform for DJs that we launched about 5-6 years ago now. And I think I sent you some stuff for it. And,
maybe.
We launched this great product, which was basically a mobile app, 6 years ago, where the DJ could plug it into the mixer, get high quality high quality sound, stream themselves on camera. And then we had an app where fans could donate, virtual coins, kind of similar to what Twitch is doing now. And they were actually called Beat Coins. So it was a really cool name. And the company did really, really well for about 6 months. The user growth pointed straight through the roof. We did a couple of big live shows with bigger DJs as well, all on a fairly small budget, where we were connecting basic Logitech webcams into a system that we bought. So it was basically made for everyone to be able to afford and go live on a Monday. But pretty much 6 months after our launch, Facebook came along and decided to destroy Periscope. And Periscope was the leading live streaming platform at the moment, that you might remember. So it became very difficult for us to pull the eyeballs of Facebook into our app. So that company had kind of a slow death, but the idea was really great. And looking back, had we launched it during this COVID pandemic, it might have been a different chance for the company, as that seems to be what everybody's doing right now.
Yeah,
But
I like the live stream thing. It's fun. We're doing live every night now. Like literally every night of the week, I've got a resident on Mixcloud every night of the week. It's quite cool.
oh, that's awesome. And to me personally, who have been in that live streaming space, there are very few right now who accurately and fairly are paying the rights holders of the music that you play. Facebook certainly took the lead during I think the majority of these COVID lockdowns, but they don't pay right holders, and they seem to cut off the streams very, very frequently when a copyrighted track comes out, and fair enough. But these type of companies, it's not like they can afford some badass wide blanket licenses that would go out to a small little piece of everyone. It's these are some of the companies that had the most money in the world. Where, like you say, Mixcloud, they actually pay part of their revenue to right holders.
Yeah.
So if you look at this, are we going to be streaming live from our homes for another year or two? It's not going to work unless there is some sort of fair payment mechanism. A good friend of mine that I worked with in the past, John Digweed, he kind of primarily only uses Mixcloud solely because he prefers that the right holders of the music that he plays gets a little piece of the pie as well. So
that's exactly the same as what we're doing. We were like, all the streams were getting cut off, and it was like, well, we've got a decent sized Mixcloud, let's just move it to there. We'll have one of my artists on my coaching per night, so they have and they're the same person, so it's the same person every Monday, the same person every Tuesday, like a resident, and they can play for as long as they like. And then we just start building they build the familiarity that they come on a Friday, they know they've got tech really dumpy tech house, they know they come on a Thursday, it's disco. It's like
no, that's really cool. And that's for you that have access to a great amount of artists that plays different genres and different styles, that is absolutely amazing. But if you look at the typical thousands of smaller or mid-sized DJs who typically are streaming fairly often, one of the negative things about this, it kind of like there's so much excess supply happening right now, and there's so much fight for attention. I'm sure you remember the days when Twitter came out and all the DJs are on Twitter and they're all tweeting nonstop all day. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Thank you. Who's excited? Who's excited for my gig? Like it's just a nonstop, onslaught of attention-seeking artists who are trying to engage with their fans. And unfortunately, in today's world and technology, it's just kind of an overflow. So it will be interesting to see how some of these more established artists are they really going to turn into weekly Friday artists, and how many other great DJs are there every Friday at this particular highlight time in the UK, highlight time in Sydney, Australia, prime time in Stockholm or San Francisco. All of a sudden, you turn on and you see, holy fuck, there's 10 great streams. I want to hear all of them.
Yeah.
But sorry, I kind of got off track there. You were asking a little bit about Tune, which is also a company that we got in touch with. Tune was a really, really great and forthcoming idea. I was a part of the co-founding team, and the company was and the idea was kind of conceptualized in the early or in the summer of 2017. Crypto industry was super hot right now, or during that time. And the idea was basically to build a freestanding music streaming platform where only music that the artists fully own the rights to were able to be uploaded. So nothing signed to the PROs, to the ASCAP, to the BMIs, to record labels, all these kind of stakeholders, control powers who control the revenue flow in the music industry, and they're all kind of the same, in my opinion. They might be independent companies, but in my opinion, it's all part of the same evil conglomerate that controls the revenue that's being generated from the streaming services. But anyway, it was a super great idea. We raised a little bit of money in late December, and we started building the product, which was a online music streaming platform built on Ethereum blockchain technology. It had a really great payment mechanism that paid out our proprietary cryptocurrency called notes. And it was a fairly simple pro-rata distribution system, which is the same system that Spotify and Apple Music uses. So if data transmission would have 1% of all the stream counts any day, data transmission would get 1% of that total daily token distribution. And that worked really, really great. And we had hundreds of artists that signed up during our private beta period that we were testing. We launched the platform on May 1st, 2018, and it was great. Just like Groovio, people loved it. Numbers were exploding. People loved the fact that every night at midnight they got a royalty email statement sent to them that showed how many streams they had from which geographical location, how many tokens they have earned. Kind of like a daily bank statement from your bank every single day that show you your daily earnings. And people just love the fact that we're getting paid daily here. And they can see it on the artist account backend page. They were in control of it, etc. So moving forward, we quickly grew within the first few weeks to be by far the biggest music streaming platform on the blockchain. There were of course some other players in the market doing quite not exactly the same, but music on the blockchain, token payments, etc. So for the next month or two, the numbers were just exploding, and the feedback was just absolutely tremendous. There was a great community being built up. But unfortunately, what happened in the summer of 2018, there was a massive crypto market crash where Bitcoin went from 20,000 down to 2,000, 3,000, and Ethereum, which was the blockchain we were building on, went from being worth $1,200 for one Ethereum all the way down to, I think, like $200.
Wow, okay.
So that typically meant that every single person who was interested in crypto projects or crypto investments or even equity investments, they got really cold feet. And since we only kind of raised a smaller amount to build the initial technology, improve the working model, we had plans to continue raising more money to fund future development. That became very, very difficult for us, and actually it ultimately became impossible. And Tune kind of had a slow death while we tried to save it as much as we could. I'm not really going to go into too much details, but it was a fairly difficult and challenging time as entrepreneurs. When you have a baby, that it's growing, it's healthy, you want to feed it, and you want to give them the best food, but you simply can't afford it. And I can't tell you how many investor meetings we had, both from the crypto space, who obviously were not very happy because now their crypto earnings that they had accumulated was worth very, very little compared to what it's before. And talking to the typical VCs in Silicon Valley, they all love to see our metrics. What company doesn't want to see a hockey stick of user stats and user growth KPIs pointing straight up? But typically every meeting would always end with the same answer, which was always something like this: but have you seen the crypto market? I'm like, yes, we have, but we're actually kind of not just thinking to make a quick buck. We are trying to change the music industry with a better and more transparent system. So ultimately, the company didn't make it, and sadly, we'd had thousands of artists, tens of thousands of songs. We put together this kind of offer for all the Tune artists to move over to a great music blockchain project in Australia called Emanate. And they facilitated some sort of token transfer where if you had some sort of earnings on Tune, you could trade that in to start using their system. So while it certainly was a disappointment for many people, including myself, who spent countless sleepless nights trying to figure out ways on how to save it and how to move forward, ultimately we were not successful. So that kind of gave me some time to think about what went wrong, what features, and more importantly, the whole payment system behind it. Tune was only focused on paying out crypto, and as we know, crypto can be highly volatile in the terms of value. Bitcoin, can jump 50% in a day for various reasons or not. So, I spent most of this year in lockdown thinking about a better system,
Right.
something that included some more in-depth thinking to be able to kind of course, compensate artists better. And the more I kind of educated myself about how the Spotify payment system works, for example, which is, they have this pro-rata payment model, which means every day they take all the money that they make from subscription and advertisement, and they put it in a big pool.
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine huge mountain of gold. And then whoever has the biggest amount of streams that day takes the biggest piece of the pie. And that works really great when you are these mega artists like the Beyoncés and the Ed Sheerans and so on and so forth, because they have a lot of fans that are very hungry for consuming their music. But it doesn't really do very well for the smaller artists and the medium-sized artists, which are the independent artists. And in fact, later on we can talk about there was a recent great article from the Music Network that kind of went in to dissect Spotify's public financial filings, and they concluded that pretty much 1% of all the big mainstream artists on Spotify accounts for 90% of all the streams and revenue, which is kind of crazy amount to think about, and extremely unfair. And the article kind of bragged about that that 1% represented about 43,000 artists, and when they divided that revenue, it came out to be about $22,000 per quarter per average for those guys, or nearly $100,000 per year if you were in that 1% lucky category. But what the article completely forgot to mention is the 99% of the artists that are left that gets to share the remaining 10% of revenue. Mm-hmm. So when you actually do that calculation, and I believe it was something like 2.9 million artists that was in that 99% category.
Okay.
So they were dividing 10% of the revenue, which in this case was about $100 million. So when you did that calculation instead, that showed that on average, that remaining 99% of artists would make $33 each per quarter. And I mean, that to me is what the article should be about. Like, I don't give a fuck about Beyonce making $1 million. That's great, right? But very, very few get lucky enough to get in those positions and get, whether that's invested in by major labels who buy the rights and invest tens of millions of dollars in building up their careers and following. But very, very few people make it. That's why they are the 1%. So I think the story to be told and the discussion to be had is simply, why is the system so damn unfair for those 99%?
Exactly.
So that's what's kind of like the idea with ROCKI, is to not use that pro-rata payment model, right? So what we use instead is we use, and I believe we are the world first with what we call a hybrid user-centric payment model. So hybrid is basically that we pay both in fiat, USD, or euros with a monthly subscription.
Yeah.
So if you subscribe on ROCKI and pay $8 a month, that subscription revenue, the majority of that goes only to the artists that you listen to, and
Right.
not to this overall pot where the biggest mouths are eating from. So that's the user-centric model, is that the majority of the revenue goes only to the music and the artists that you play. And in fact, Deezer in France, which is one of the biggest music streaming companies, they actually were the first to launch a user-centric payment model for their streams and their artists, and it was a huge controversy. And my hat is really off to them to go against the rest, to try to actually implement what obviously what we and what they believe to be a much more fairer way for artists to be compensated, because clearly the Spotify pro-rata, where 1% of the artist takes 90% of the revenue, isn't really working for the 99% of the other guys.
Yeah.
So ROCKI is the first to have this hybrid combination payment model, and of course there is a ROCKS crypto token payment model as well. So
Cool.
you will be able to earn both, and fans and listeners who subscribe to you can choose whether they want to subscribe in fiat, so you are getting USD or euros, or they can subscribe to you using the ROCKS token, which is basically being a little bit discounted and incentivized, because we obviously want a thriving, healthy internal ecosystem where the ROCKS tokens are being exchanged back and forth for utility and for value. So we're super excited about this company. We've been working about this for months now. We have been in a private beta, super secret, for at least 4 months so far, building out the features and the streaming technology. We kind of came out, I guess maybe a month ago, with a public announcement that we are launching, and we've had an open registration on their website, who is over 3,000 people so far have signed up for access, which is really exciting for us. But we are still in beta. Every feature is not being released overnight, but we're making some great headway. We have a great distributed team around the world working on this, both from blockchain and security side to from the crypto side, back end and front end engineer, and then of course myself on the artist and marketing side. I'm actually the CEO of the project, but we are all kind of on the same level at the company. We have daily meetings to go over our roadmap and development updates and so on and so forth. So I would expect our full public launch, where anybody could sign up and start uploading music that they fully own the rights to, that to be happening in maybe 2-3 weeks at the latest.
Wow, that quick. Okay, cool.
It's coming pretty quick. But another really cool, interesting thing that I wanted to touch about ROCKI, what separates it, and apologize for going a little bit deeper into the world of blockchain and crypto.
I was hoping you would do, because it fully interests me, and I know very little about. I know tiny amounts about it. So you fill your boots like full on, because I'm sat here just quiet for the first time in a long time. I was sat here just quiet listening. It's incredible.
Sure. So just to kind of take a step back. One of the mistakes we did at Tune was that we made it too difficult for people to cash out the Nodes cryptocurrency that they had earned. It was certainly not a very easy thing for a non-crypto user to do. And since the company and the marketing strategy was focusing on artists, it wasn't focused on crypto people. Most of the users were really not aware about crypto, or had crypto wallets and were aware on how to trade them in for other crypto to ultimately cash them out for USD or euros.
I had that problem.
yeah. And you know what? Looking back, it was a terrible mistake. The company did not even put out any useful guides on how to help you. A huge failure. And the way that I look at it, when I look at Tune, to me it was a huge learning experience. I'm extremely grateful for being a part of that team, the original co-founding team, and learning more. I mean, when my partners came to me, I actually didn't really know much about blockchain or crypto. In fact, I didn't even own any crypto, so I had to kind of take a crash course in educating myself on it. And I've been keep pursuing that that interest, and it's really interesting.
Yeah.
We are one of the first to introduce something that's called a music NFT. And what a NFT is something that's called a non-fungible token, which basically means it's just. I'll try to explain it in a fairly easy way. Think of it as a digital piece of ownership for something of value. So it can be, a digital piece of art, like what you have in the background there.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
big one in the middle. That can be issued as an NFT,
yeah,
which is a token contract on the blockchain.
yeah.
And there are basically various web platforms that functions as auction houses, just like your eBay, where people basically buy and sell ownership in pieces of digital art in this particular example. And it's becoming a really, really hot part of the blockchain and crypto industry right now.
Hmm.
That is being tried for many different things. But we are basically working on two different types of technologies for NFT for ROCKI that we believe can provide additional revenue and fun engagement for the artists and their fans. And the first one is basically a NFT that somebody can actually buy in full to own the listening right to that song. So if you release a song on ROCKI and you issue this particular piece of NFT,
Hmm.
somebody can buy that, and you can issue several. You can issue 10 or 100, and basically only those 10 or 100 that has bought it for the price that you're asking are able to listen to that song. So
Wow.
basically, it's almost like having your own private vinyl.
Yeah.
John Digweed releasing 100 vinyl limited collection of a song from back in the days. There's only going to be 100 copies available. You are one of the lucky ones that gets to buy it. You hold it for a year or two. You play the crap out of it. You love it, but one day you think, you know what? I've played this song so many times. I played this vinyl, this record. Let's see if I can sell it. Then you put it on eBay or you put it on whatever other platform, and you might sell it, and hopefully for a profit to what you paid.
Mm.
So that's a really interesting model where you're basically buying this listening right that you can sell to your fans, and you can make it as many as you want or as few as you want. And time will kind of tell. In our early research and testing of this, it seems like a lot of artists prefer to not only have a couple, but instead have several, so the music can actually be enjoyed with many, versus, hey, I'm only going to give 5 fans availability to purchase a listening right for this song.
That's
Which
so
is
cool.
yeah, it's think of it
It's
like
really cool. It's really cool. Like you can imagine a big artist going, I've got 10 copies of this,
yeah,
and it's literally the first, go and grab them,
yeah,
which is really cool. And it's also a good way to launch artists on the platform as well, because the artists can go, right, I've got 10, they're on this platform, go and grab them, and you'll get a load of people signing up straight away.
yeah, absolutely. And you know the the second piece is an NFT token contract that basically allows the person, the fan who buys it, to actually earn revenue from the streams that are being generated. So it's like you're buying a piece of the future royalty from that song being played on the ROCKI platform. And I know you probably have seen there are some copyright auction sites that you can buy a piece of ownership to collect future revenue on somebody's copyrighted songs. I never really thought that they were too too successful, but some certainly were able to buy some rights to a deceased artist that maybe went up in value. I don't know. But this is kind of similar in a way, where you as an artist, you can release this song and you can say, I'm gonna issue this particular NFT token contract that allows everybody to earn 5 to 10% each as a rev share for as long as you own that NFT. You can then trade that with someone else. Maybe, this particular investment of mine is not really making me any money back. This particular artist was not popular, nobody's playing his music, so I'm not actually making any revenue as a stakeholder myself. So you can sell that on a secondary market that we're building on ROCKI to kind of become our own, eBay auction function, where people can buy and sell these, call it listener rights or earning rights for a song. So, we are super excited about this NFT technology, NFT blockchain technology. And for those of you who wants to dive in more, just simply visit rocki.app, and there is a link to our white paper that goes into a little bit more in-depth on just how this type of NFT blockchain technology works and how we are using it for ROCKI, in hopes of finding new revenue sources for artists, at the same time have a whole new kind of system where the fans can be, more of an active participator in that, song revenue that's being generated and everything around it. Because I'm sure if you would own a little piece of it, maybe you would bust your ass to tell all your neighbors and your friends at the gym and your mom and dad and your wife, and so that way you are being a paid promoter for the rights of income in that song. So it's we're super excited about it. In fact, in a week or two, knock on the wood, we're about to launch a big kind of test about that, and it's looking really, really great. We have built most of the technology so far, and the cool thing about this is these are transactions recorded on the blockchain. So it's available for the public to see. You can see, well, Grahame only paid this much for it, and now he wants to sell it for this much. So I think the good thing about blockchain technology that it is transparent, right?
Yes.
It's not, for example, on ROCKI, you will be able to see how many ROCKS tokens I have earned for my song. Where, for example, if you go to Spotify or Apple Music, you will never know how much money Bon Jovi or Ed Sheeran or U2 made on a song any particular day. That's obviously, highly guarded secrets. On ROCKI, we actually have another world first, and this is kind of interesting, and it's game changing in our opinion. It's actually a system where the listener, the fan, can also be earning the ROCKS cryptocurrency by simply listening to music.
Wow.
So get paid to listen. It's basically the pitch there.
Fuck's sake. Cool.
Yeah. Now, it's not as easy as it sounds. It's actually, there's quite a great mechanism behind it. But it's basically meant in order to make the fans, the listener, more from a passive side to a more active side, giving value back to the artist. And the way that it works is basically like this, and it's actually pretty simple. Every day, if you are a registered user, there will be 1 or 2 songs that we will curate for you based on your genre preference. So if Grahame only likes to listen to country and blues, it will be 1 or 2 country and blues songs
nice.
automatically generated from the system that you will be able to listen to earn our small ROCKS token reward.
Wicked.
But that's only once a day. I know you don't like that music.
I can get my Bonnie Tyler fix once a day. Wicked.
Yeah. Now, that's going to be a tiny thing.
Yeah.
But it's certainly something. But the bigger and more important part about this getting paid to listen to music is basically the second part of this feature, which is basically coming from the artists themselves who have earned those ROCKS tokens from their streams in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So think about it like this. I'm sure you have used Facebook marketing before to market your business or buying ads for your music career. Similar to that, you will put up a budget of tokens, of ROCKS tokens that you have earned.
Yeah.
And let's just say an imaginary number. This week, I want to give out 10 ROCKS tokens to listeners who will listen to this song that I'm choosing. Then that song goes into a special section on the website, which we call sponsored music or sponsored curated music.
Yeah.
So there will be a wide range of selection of songs that a listener can go through and listen to and get additional small ROCKS token rewards for. But after each song, they actually have to make some sort of valuable contribution to the artist in the form of rating and commenting and hopefully sharing on social media if they like the song. The idea is very simple. We want to help the artist discover more fans.
Nice.
And if it works the way that we have intended, you are paying some tiny amounts of your ROCKS token supply in order to expose your music to more fans. And if everything goes well, let's say that 100 fans, 100 listeners listen to your song. You know, let's take example A. Your song is really fucking good. and of course we will try to automatically list the songs that you are most likely to like. For example, Grahame likes blues and country. Those will be the first on the list for you to listen to, not some dubstep as an example.
Yeah.
So the idea is simple. You pay to expose your money to new listeners, and if they like the song, if you have done a good job, those people will, number one, become a follower. So now we get that piece of the puzzle, finding and discovering more fans. You get a follower that will discover your other music, because maybe now you had another 15 songs on ROCKI that they would never have found because there's so many of them. So now we have this artist discovery and artist amplification mechanism that will also have some sort of social reward, social sharing reward function, that if they go additional steps with sharing your music within their own social media network to bring you additional potential fans, they will get a tiny little extra reward.
That's so cool. How do we sign up right now?
Super simple. So the platform is ROCKI, ROCKI.app.
Cool.
ROCKI.app, and it's the same on Twitter, Instagram.
And do we need some invite codes?
In fact, there is an invite code. I don't remember it on top of the head at the moment, but what I will do is send it to you in an email, which you can put in the description. There's literally thousands that have signed up. Cool. What this invite code does is just basically puts them in the head of the queue. So what we're doing basically right now, we're giving about 50 to 100 artists full access per day. As we are continually, we are in a private beta, we're still testing it. We don't want to try to overload the system as we are still building this technology from scratch. So I'll send you a code that will
Wicked,
put them
and how about this? If you send me a code, and if the people listen, if you want that code you're listening, DM me on Instagram, and then I'll give you the code. I'll give you the secret.
Absolutely, and you can do the same. DM us on Twitter. It's ROCKI app on Twitter as well, on Instagram as well. There's a contact form on our website, I believe. You can send us a
Perfect.
message. We can send the code to you there. Well, so yeah, exciting stuff.
Bjorn, thank you for joining me on the podcast. This has been
Dude,
super interesting. Super
yeah,
interesting.
absolutely my pleasure. And hopefully, after we have executed some of these features and seen some valuable statistics,
Come back on for
maybe
sure.
we can have another chat, and we can dive in more on some of those results.
I'm super interested. Thank you so much for coming on that. That sounds amazing.
Great. Thank you
Thanks,
so much
man.
for your time.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.